Alrighty, y'all. Welcome back to the show. I'm super stoked for this because I love learning about different countries, but I really love learning about cars as well. I'm a huge gearhead, and I tell you what, I'm also a weirdo because, everyone loves like Corvettes and Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff, but you know what? Basic, simple, kind of like work vehicles or fleet vehicles, police vehicles, they interest me just as much, maybe even more. I actually have an ex-police car, the legendary American Icon that was actually built in Canada, the Ford Crown Victoria. They were also known as the workhorse of America. They were taxis in big cities, Chicago, Los Angeles, Miami, New York, everywhere, big city. And I think the most iconic would be the New York taxi, right? Those big yellow Crown Victorias, and they're not as famous as another taxi. And I think that is, even over here on American shores, everyone knows the London taxis. They're everywhere in popular culture. I think they're very famous, and I've never actually learned about them. So I hope to do that with this video and with your guys' help, of course, for suggestions or just your stories, your specs you want to share about these in the comments. I'm all ears. We're looking at a new London taxi review, and sorry for the long intro. I'm just really excited. This is from a channel called Auto Express. It will be linked down below. Please check them out, and this was suggested by a lot of you. So let's go. Let's check this out.
Ask anyone to name a symbol of Britishness, and chances are the black cab will be right at the top of the list.
Oh, that's iconic.
Ever since 1948, with the Austin FX3, London has had bespoke, purpose-built taxis trundling around its...
Wow, they all had the relatively similar appearance. I mean, obviously they changed, but they kind of resemble each other, so it hasn't changed all that much. That's why I think it's very iconic. It's been around forever. And I've never been to London. I've never been to the UK, but I'm excited. Like this, I know, even from way over here, I know that this is like iconic.
Congested streets, driven by some of the most professional and knowledgeable drivers in the world. Strong and durable they may have been, but you'd never call a black cab a state-of-the-art piece of kit.
No, and that's why I like it. It's not fancy, it's not fast, but it's like a purpose-built, probably durable vehicle that's meant to do work and meant to move so many different people, right? And cover tons of miles, tons of kilometers, tons of years, whatever you want to say. It's amazing.
But that's all about to change with the new TX.
You have a new one. Okay.
Over the years, the taxi we've known and loved has been built by a company known by different names.
Okay.
Most recently, the London Taxi Company.
Gotcha.
Now owned by the Chinese, and as a sign of its eco-minded future, we now have the London Electric Vehicle Company, or LEVC, and this is their new baby, the TX.
This thing's electric?
LEVC has had a £325 million investment by owner Geely and now has a brand new factory in Coventry, the first dedicated EV factory in the UK, no less. The TX is totally new and it's a range extender. There's 2 electric motors at the back.
You know what I love? Look at how big they are. I gotta say, as much as I freaking love the Crown Victoria as an American icon for a taxi, believe it or not, they're a really big car, especially on the outside, but they're kind of tight inside. It's kind of weird. This is huge. This is like a living room.
Giving a range of 75 miles, and there's a 1.5-litre 3-cylinder petrol engine from a Volvo V40 up front to boost range up to 400 miles.
So this is a hybrid. Okay, it's not a straight-up EV. It's a hybrid. Very interesting. So a 3-cylinder petrol with a EV capability, the electric motor, hybrid combo. What were let's say the last gen, the one before this, a taxi you would have seen a few years ago? What were those powered by? I want to know the specifications here. I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. I love this thing. Look at that thing. I wonder if I could buy one of these used and ship it over here. How weird would that be in America, having one of these? That'd be cool.
To make the TX as good as it could have been, they've spoken to every taxi driver from Watford to Waterloo, and London cabbies aren't a bunch of people to hold back.
Come on, mate. Use your indicator. Bloody hell, who taught you to drive? God, you never guessed who had my cab last week. Sharon Stone. Oh, we missed those lights then, didn't we? All right, darling, where to?
Look at that.
Taxi drivers are probably
cool.
the pickiest new car buyers ever, and they have to be. They sit in the driver's seat
Yeah.
for hours every day, clocking
Yeah, if you're a taxi driver, that car is your office. That's your workspace. They should be picky. I mean, they're in there a long time. I think they want function. They want some sort of comfort. Anyone in the comments that's a taxi driver, quite frankly, anywhere in the world, I'd love to hear your experiences, your stories. But if you're specifically maybe a London taxi driver, tell me a bit about the job. I'm assuming that it's, again, maybe like an underappreciated job. I mean, you got to know what you're doing. You're always in traffic in tight city streets. I commend taxi drivers, man, in this kind of big city environment. I hate driving downtown Chicago just because it's so stressful, and taxi drivers have to do it every day. It's I bet they have some stories, and I bet they know shortcuts and directions that no one else would even think of.
up to 300,000 miles in a cab's lifetime.
Dang,
Speaking
that's
to
a
some
lot.
of the finest cabbies in London, they're fed up with the current TX4's cramped driving position, patchy build quality, and wailing diesel engine.
Oh, it's a
For the
diesel,
new
the old one.
TX,
Okay.
They wanted a car that happened to have a taxi body on it. They wanted low running costs. They wanted all the mod cons, and yet it had to look traditional.
Right.
They wanted rather a lot.
Well, I mean, it's a big industry.
Whilst
They
we're
deserve a lot,
second
yeah?
checking in central London, what do I think to this new TX? Well, the overwhelming feeling is that this feels like a car that has a taxi body on it. I mean, in many ways, it does feel like a big SUV. You've got this raised driving position, the doors are thick, everything
Yeah.
feels quite low down. You've got this commanding driving position.
Right.
And the whole thing does feel like a car.
It is kind of a weird vehicle. It's like bigger than a lot of the cars he's driving by. If we see his seating position versus that wagon he's going to pass here, he is higher up. It's not quite a truck. It's not quite a full-on SUV, and it's bigger than a wagon, though. It's weird, right? It's kind of a unique
It
vehicle.
feels even more like a car in many ways, because if you look in here, virtually everything that you can see is taken straight out of a Volvo. Now, putting
Okay.
aside the fact that the infotainment system and all the buttons are taken straight out of a Volvo XC90,
Really?
so is the steering wheel, the start-stop engine button, the gear lever, even the key is taken straight out of a Volvo. I've been talking to
No
a few
kidding.
taxi drivers today, and a lot of them are very turned on by all this type of stuff. I mean, the seat, for instance, is really, really comfortable, but that's not the thing that they're most interested in. Do you want to know what that is? It's a cup holder. For the first time ever, it seems, a taxi has got a cup holder.
What?
Taxi drivers, you've got to love them, haven't you? It's not just the fact that this feels like a car to drive, it also sounds like a car to drive. It sounds like any modern hybrid
Right.
in many ways, because this thing is so quiet. Now, if you've been in an old TX4 taxi, and I'm sure you have, it
No,
is
I haven't.
so noisy. The
Unfortunately.
diesel engine is rattling away, the automatic gearbox doesn't know which gear it
Yeah.
should be in, and the whole thing is a pretty unpleasant experience, not only for the taxi driver, but also for the passenger as well.
Right.
But this, it is so quiet. The ride is very good.
I mean, it's really weird in a good way. I gotta admit, I like it. I think it kind of looks cool. Maybe some people are gonna laugh when I say that, but I think it looks neat. I do like it.
Transmission is very smooth, so you tend to drive away, you tend to glide around town in many ways. The only thing I don't quite like is the regenerative brakes. Now, I've driven lots of cars, lots of hybrids and lots of electric cars with regenerative brakes. So that's part and parcel of driving those types of cars. But in this, it does feel very spongy, and you can't help but when you come to a standstill,
Yeah.
you come to quite an abrupt halt. But apart from that,
Right.
this is an incredibly good car to drive.
Interesting.
That doesn't mean there are no faults.
Is it? I don't. If he said, "Forgive me, I don't know if I heard it or not." Are these front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, perhaps all-wheel drive? I doubt that. I wonder. I think they're rear-wheel drive, but I'm
The
not
new
sure.
TX feels like an SUV to drive, which is great, but that
Right.
also means it feels as big and as cumbersome as a Chelsea tractor. With all those bits from the Volvo parts bin, the new TX doesn't feel particularly special in the way a bespoke taxi should. And then there's the price. There are 3 models, with the range kicking off at a considerable £55,500, rising to a heart-stopping 58 grand for the top model. But weekly
I feel like that's pretty expensive, yeah? Although I don't know how that compares to other cars in London, but I feel like that's kind of pricey. But I mean, then again, it's a car that can make you a lot of money. Question, is that car only available for fleet sales? So like you have to have an actual registered company to buy that car, or can any average Joe just go and buy this even though it's a fleet vehicle? Just interesting question. I don't know if that's a thing or not.
Reasonable. There is a 3-year warranty and a 5-year battery warranty.
Gotcha.
Well, I'm not really interested in all of that. As a punter, I'm more interested in what it's like back here, and I can tell you, just like life up in the front, life back here is pretty rosy. There's a huge amount of space. I mean, you can easily fit 3 people back here along this back seat, and there's 3 individual seats in front of me. So if I so wish, I could take 5 of my friends along.
You could, yeah. It's very big. I didn't realize that there were seats over here behind the driver. That's so cool. I like how it has the glass roof, so you can kind of see the sights, see the sky. Very interesting back there, man.
It's very comfortable. I am sitting right over the back wheels, just like you do in the old TX4, but the ride is a lot more supple. It's also full of gadgets back here. I've got a USB charging port down here, so I can charge my phone on the move. Another one down there. I've even got climate control there as well, and I can speak to the driver just by pressing the intercom button.
No kidding.
Another cool feature is the fact that there's a 3-pin socket down there, so if I so wish, I can charge my laptop up whilst we're driving around. Although if you are working whilst you're moving, it is a little bit sad. And gone are the days when I have to get out of the cab and pay the driver through the window, because here is a contactless chip and pin machine. So it all is very easy and straightforward. But the thing I like the most, though, is this glass panoramic roof, because it means that I can look up at this quite dismal November day. But in the summer, it's going to be absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
Sorry, excuse me. Driver, do you know where you're going? I think we should have taken a right back there. It seems as though no matter how good the new taxi is, you're always going to get customers who think they know it all.
That's right. That'd be another fun part of being a taxi driver, and I say fun sarcastically. Yeah, I'm sure there's people that know where they're going more than someone that does it for a living for decades, right? Anyway, I would love to hear your stories. That was a cool short review of the iconic London taxi, which is now a hybrid. This is something that I feel like we just scratched the surface on, so I would really like to explore this more. I would like to look at the older models. I would like to know some specifications. So like I said, this is a very comment-driven video. I do appreciate your guys' input on this. I love it, though. I love the design. I like how it's in all black. It's got the steelies with the chrome center caps, which reminds me of course, our taxis and police cars have that set up a lot of times. It's just really cool, and it definitely is iconic. Some surprises. It's a lot bigger in back than I thought. And yeah, I would love to hear if it really is just its own thing, or if you consider this a car or an SUV or a wagon. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Please throw a like on there if you enjoyed this, and subscribe to be part of this amazing community. Much more to come with this. Remember, we just had a baby, so I've only been able to do 1 or 2 videos a day, and pretty soon, once we get in the swing of things and everyone's healed up and healthy, I will be trying to do more, like, 3, 4, maybe even 5 videos a day like I was before. So please stay patient. But yeah, I cannot wait to learn more. My name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker, and until next time, y'all, I'll catch you later.